You are listening to your auntie's favorite DJ, DJ Treacy Trees.
What the pot? What the pot? What the pot? What the pot?
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to What the Pod. I go by the name of DJ Treacy Tree, your auntie's favorite DJ, and now your fairy pod mother. Welcome to What the Pod. What the Pod is a podcast that recommends new shows for you to listen to, and I thank you so much for joining me this Monday. Let's jump right into today's show. Now, I'm starting today's show with a new tool to find podcasts. There's a new search engine for podcasts, and it is called Fathom. Now, their website says, search, explore, and expand your mind. Fathom's AI actually understands every word inside of a podcast. Finding the right thing to listen to has never been easier. It is 100% free, and it is available on iPhone and in your web browser. I'm always looking for new podcasts, and if you follow me, you are too. So check out Fathom with me. Now, jumping into the first show that I'm actually checking out today, the first podcast that I'll be listening to is called the Chop Shop Podcast. Now, a real life prisoner is on the run and has made an appearance on a podcast, y'all. I'm not kidding. Fugitive Gregor Gray recently made an appearance on the Chop Shop Podcast. Honestly, what were we expecting from a podcast called The Chop Shop, y'all? Seriously. Anyway, Fugitive Gregor Gray is on the podcast talking about serving 17 years for a 7-year sentence. He's talking about escaping and much, much more. Now, I couldn't make this up, y'all. This article actually made sure to give you a friendly reminder that harboring an escapee is a criminal offense with a maximum of 10 years. So check out this episode of the Chop Shop Podcast with me. Definitely a unique one for this Monday. The second podcast that I'll be checking out is called A Little Bit Culty. Now, I've been watching so much about cults on Netflix that I'm just generally checking every area of my life to make sure that I'm not in a cult. Now, evidently, your job can be your cult, and I want to know the red flags, so I'll be checking out the A Little Bit Culty podcast. A quote from the episode description says, "To build an amazing company, it has to be a little bit more than a business, a little bit less than a religion. It has to be in the zone of cult." Now, that sounds crazy, and I want more. So let's check out the Cults at Work. Cameron Herold on corporate culture. Man, that's hard to say. Back to back to back. Cameron Herold. All right, check out this podcast with me. Now, the final podcast that I'm checking out today, I love, is very near and dear to my heart. I love the 10% Happier podcast. It just adds little nuggets of delicious positivity into your everyday life. Now, this episode grabbed my attention because the podcast guest, Evelyn Tribal, wrote the book Intuitive Eating, and my wife introduced me to this concept. Now, in short, intuitive eating focuses on listening to your body cues and tuning into your awareness when eating versus extreme dieting. Now, I am not a fan of diet culture and would love to rethink my relationship with food, so I'm checking out episode 220, The Anti-Diet. Check it out with me. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining me for this episode of What the Pod. If you liked any of my podcast picks, then share my show with your family and your friends. As always, click the link in the show notes to follow me on Spotify and listen along to these pods with me. Let me know your favorite picks on TikTok. Follow me at DJ Treacy Trees. That's DJ TRICEY. If you love me and my show, then give me 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'll check back in with you tomorrow where I'll have 3 new podcasts for you to listen to.